What is your soul truth this week? Let's discuss boundaries. Hi, I'm Alice. Welcome back to the channel. Here I use oracle decks to ask us deeper questions and with that wisdom discover more of ourselves. Okay, so let's get started. Today we are using Rebecca Campbell's Work Your Light. And the question that I asked for us today for the week is, what do we need to focus on, right? What do we need to focus on? And it's absolutely amazing how, things show up for us exactly when we need it. But boundaries, the card of boundaries showed up today. Let me read what it says. Where do you need to establish better boundaries? We need to ask ourselves that all the time, don't we? And this is it's going to be the beginning of May at the end of the week. And so where do we need better boundaries in our lives? Let's read the card and talk about it, okay? You're being called to create clearer boundaries in your life. This could be with your friends, family, or work. Saying yes when you really mean no leads to resentment, which is the biggest energy drain ever. We're all guilty of that, aren't we? Sometimes, because we just don't want to, we have FOMO, fear of missing out, right? So we don't want to miss out on some things, but we really don't want to do it. But we say yes anyways. So at first, it might only be a little bit and not feel like a big deal. But before you know it, your energy field becomes porous and you're left feeling depleted, resentful, or taken advantage of. Saying no and having clear boundaries is actually a spiritual act. The most giving, loving, compassionate people are those with the clearest boundaries. For when they say yes, they are able to give unconditionally. And I've had friends in the past also that when they say yes, they get so present with you in the moment. And I used to get upset when I was in my 20s and 30s of, people saying no to me and them explaining and me not understanding, oh, why don't you want to go have fun? And it's so clear now what all of that was about. Because when they were present and said yes, oh my gosh, they were there all the way. And that's what you want to provide for others as well, right? If you say yes to something and go and do something you're really not into it, it affects everybody because they can see that you're not enjoying yourself. They can see you left early. Why did you leave her? All kinds of things get entangled when we don't hold to our boundaries. So when your boundaries are clear, others know where they stand and you're able to give freely. That's what I was just saying. If you're not clear where your boundaries lie, this causes confusion, resentment, and energetic cords to be planted. If you're saying yes when you really mean no, you're likely needing something else, something yourself. Ask yourself, what part of me needs something from them? It could be a need for approval, a fear of being seen a certain way, or a fear of loss. The best way to gauge your boundary is to check in with your belly. Your belly is the second brain. It has an intelligence known as your gut feelings. Tune into the space when deciding what is okay for you. How does it feel? What is it trying to communicate with you? Where in your life do you need to establish better boundaries? So I invite you this week, right before May, to really get clear about your boundaries, because then your priorities come up and you can see what you value. Once you put those boundaries in place and really acknowledge what you feel when you're saying yes and no, it is a clearing of self. It is a clearing of energy. It feels so good to finally step in that space, right? And so the other card that came up with this is Inner Temple. And I thought this is a perfect connection because this is devotion. Tune into the portal of your heart. And when you are connected to your heart and you say yes or no according to your boundaries, that devotion to being present in the moment is there. It's just there. Everyone's clear. about everyone's priority in that moment, right? So let's read this a little bit. You're being called to be a devoted student and tune into your heart, to incorporate true devotion into your life. You could be being called to develop a regular meditation practice, journaling, or chanting, or to show up to your soul with rhythm, to develop a daily practice where you fill up your well and spend time with your soul. This is so important, even if you start creating a early morning prayer practice, or you can pray throughout the day. In that moment, you are present and taking that devotion that is connected to your heart and placing it in a temple of sacredness, right? And it's so important because boundaries have so much to do with when you're aligned with your inner temple. The boundaries, your own boundaries, know where they lie, right? And so you're being true to yourself. So I encourage you this week to really think about your boundaries, right? And devote that practice of boundaries this week in a way where it flourishes your inner temple of self-care, of devotion to your connection to source, right? Okay, well, so in the end, it's all about your own soul truth, right? Sticking to your boundaries and having a devotional practice to who you are, to the connection to source that we all have. It's always available to us 24/7 whenever we need it. So I invite you this week. Have a great week, and I'll see you again. Bye.